Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. Today we're talking about building the Black community, and we specifically are going to unbox the steps necessary for progress. Stick around. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Davis. I'm so glad that you have joined us today, and we are talking about how we can build the Black community. We've talked about the Black family. Now we're talking about the Black community as a whole, and we're going to talk about some of the steps toward progress, especially emotional and relational progress in our relationships. Before we get started, do me a quick favor. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That's right. Like, subscribe, and share. And please check out our website so you can learn more information about what Unboxed does. And you can also partner with us. There's ways for you to give right in the description below. So please make sure that you're supporting what Unboxed is doing. Got some really good news. We are prepared to release over 112 recommendations to the city of Denver on how we can improve policing and public safety. And I am quite excited. Our release date is going to be May the 24th. That's Monday, May the 24th, which is the eve of the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. And so I'm looking forward to some great progress here in the city of Denver and getting those recommendations out. So please make sure that you keep your eyes open for those recommendations, which will be presented shortly. All right, let's talk about steps to progress. I want to share a quote with you real quick. The quote's going to go up on the screen right now, and I want you to follow along with me. And here's what it says. It says, and this is, I want you to understand this quote in the context of the history of Blacks in America. I'm reading a book right now called Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. I believe I got the name correctly. Tremendous book. And I want you to think about what we're talking about here, about progressing the Black community in light. Now, I use these quotes and I use some of this material, especially when I'm dealing with my executive coaching, and I'm dealing with individuals in leadership position. Matter of fact, please check out our webpage to find out more about our executive coaching and about our executive director peer support group. Go to our website, which you see right here on your screen. Okay, emotionally mature leaders. And I'm just going to take out the word leaders and say emotionally mature people. Emotionally mature people can think and act independently, even when closely involved with others. They are fairly objective and can act on principle, even in periods of heightened emotional stress. An emotionally mature leader can remain calm, even when those around them are acting anxious. A broad perspective and long-term view enable them to balance individual interests against the needs of the group. The balance maximizes individual productivity, cooperation, and group cohesion. Wow. I mean, that is what you call an emotionally mature leader. Put that back up on the screen. I want you to see that one more time. That's what you call an emotionally mature person or an emotionally mature leader. But I want you to think about this and look at the things that I've highlighted: independent, objective, principled, calm, being able to think about the interests and the needs of the group. And I want you to think about that in the context of people that for 250, 300 years, 1619 to 1865, lived every day of their lives for the most part under intense anxiety and intense stress. As I shared with you before, Dr. Joy DeGruy categorizes that experience and its effects as post-traumatic slave syndrome. So you can think about not being able, about being in survival mode. You know, thinking about being in survival mode 24/7. And even when you think about right now how African Americans exist, there's a large portion of the African American experience that is just about surviving. just making it day to day, just looking out of the window, watching the asphalt grow, thinking how it all looks hand me down, just that day to day grind of just trying to make things happen. And so you can see, as you look at these various elements, you can really get a sense of how that would have impacted our emotional growth ability when you just want to survive. So you can see that it takes you out of this thinking mode, which is what really emotionally mature people are good at. They're good at two things: identifying and understanding what their emotions are, and then placing themselves into a thinking spot so that they're not just reacting off of emotions, but are coming up with the best, most rational and sound decision. And being able to implement that in relationships is what really is about emotional maturity. So you can imagine the profound impact that it would have on someone to watch one of their fellow kinsmen being beaten mercilessly. You can imagine what it did to our sisters who were savagely raped over and over again, forced to breed like cattle, working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night, not having any breaks, living in constant fear, having no human rights, no human dignities, being relegated to the place of an animal. You can understand how those experiences during slavery, and then all of the various iterations of racism, which we are seeing in 2021, as I just read another article about an African-American woman whose house was appraised for $115,000. She then paid out of her own pocket for a second appraisal. The first appraisal was $130,000. The second appraisal was $115,000. So she said, let me ask one of my white friends to come and to sit in while I pay for the third appraisal out of my pocket. And her house appraised for $260,000. It doubled in value. So we still see the systemic racism that is alive and well in 2021. And it's not, by chance. So what we as African Americans, we talk about gaining our own economic independence, our financial freedom, as we talk about regaining control of our education and the education of our children, as we talk about taking control of our health and just our general welfare, you can understand why it is important for us to learn to recognize our emotions, be in tune with our emotions, to understand our emotions, but at the same time, to be able to rationally and reasonably think and to be in a very clear thinking place. And so I kept this up here, and you can take it down now, son. I kept this up here because I really do want you to understand what it means to be emotionally mature and how slavery, Jim Crow, and everything else just went counter to that whole notion, and how now we are going to have to look back at how we were pre-programmed. I just shared some of those things with you, and then begin to develop plans on how we move from being emotional and reactive. Last thing that I'm going to share about emotional and reactive, I was watching a PBS news interview, whatever it was, at the time of the Rodney King verdict, when America went into turmoil. And I even had an opportunity to march in Washington, D.C. and protest, even march down to the White House. My friend and I, Damon Mace, made the evening news because of our marching on the White House. With that being said, one of the things I remember while I was watching this interview was an interview of an FBI agent who said something that was very profound. He said that law enforcement is trained to basically quarantine off Black neighborhoods. And they quarantine off Black neighborhoods during times of riot because they recognize a couple of things. One, we don't want the riots to expand beyond the immediate African-American community. So that's why you see police in military gear protecting downtowns and business areas during times of civil unrest. The second thing he said is we allow Blacks to just vent. We don't come in and try to shut it down. We just let them vent. And this is an African-American talking. He's saying the FBI does all these trainings and stuff with local law enforcement to allow people just to vent, because we recognize that African Americans, they just need to vent and to get it out of their system. And then once they do that, then they'll calm down and everything will return in many ways back to normal. And if you think about this, that is so true, that everything returns back to normal, unfortunately, after you have these huge riots and things and these misjustices. Because for so many years, living in a survival mode, African Americans have become so reactive. And, this is just a reality of it. We have to recognize that we do need to be in touch with our emotions, aware of our emotions, but at the same time, we also have to be in a place where we can calmly and rationally think and can be independent while at the same time looking out for the good of the group. And this is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's a long, drawn out process, but it's worth every minute of the work. And we're going to talk about that, because if we're going to build the Black community, we have to outsmart our oppressors. We have to outsmart our adversaries. We have to outthink those that we can duly call our enemy. Okay, do me a favor. Went a little longer than I had anticipated. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That's right, like, subscribe, and share. Please check out our website and support what we're doing with UnBoxed. And I look forward to seeing you after the weekend as we continue to discuss building the Black community. Take care.
Seasoned with Grace, UnBoxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.